Well, Chukuwuma Ezeala joins us now. He's a legal practitioner to discuss on that report. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, the 3 bills before the Senate about amending the Electoral Act and some contentious ones. I think the one that stuck out yesterday, where most people focused on, was conducting elections in one day. Because at the moment we have, I think it's in 2. The presidential elections, then you have the National Assembly and the governorship elections. Do you think that, listening to arguments of both parties, plus what INEC has said, how should we be going?
You see, we started with having 3 elections. And we found out that the cost implications was very high. We now came down to 2 elections. There are 2 issues to consider. Number one is that there are 5 elections to be conducted. If, for instance, you want to say you want to do them in one day, 5 elections, that of the presidency, that of the Senate, that of the House of Representatives, that of the governor, and that of the House of Assembly. That is 5 elections. Number one is to look at the citizens. Are they capable, especially with the level of education we have? Are we capable of voting 5 different persons and knowing who to vote for or the particular party to vote for? That is one, because somebody may want to vote for the presidency, maybe NDP, and for the governorship, maybe he may decide to vote SPP or whatever they have. Now, if you lump the whole elections together, there may be confusion, first on the part of the citizens. The second aspect becomes on the electoral body. Can they really do with the logistics? Many of us that have worked in election matters understands what it means to deal with the logistics of having the elections, 5 elections at the same time, collating the results, knowing the ones you collated, and what you're going to do with it. So you see that it is really, as we are today, practically impossible to conduct 5 elections.
What should be the key issue for you? Should it be about the capability or capacity of the commission, electoral commission, or the readiness of Nigerians to do that?
No, it's not a question of the readiness of Nigerians. It's also about.
No, you talked about them being confused.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Not that. If you say readiness, it means are we ready to accept it? But can we really do it? That is what I mean. Is can an average Nigerian, who is somewhere in Taraba or somewhere in Ebonyi State, can the person say, I can vote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and know who I'm voting? Or is
what's your assessment of that? Would that be a yes or no?
Of course, what I'm saying is that we cannot. We're not ready.
Why do you think
can't do it? Because of the level of education. The level of education and the stakes in question. Just like you will see in some areas, some people will vote a particular party for the presidency and vote a particular party for the National Assembly and will vote another party for the governorship. Now, an average person who is not literate enough may not understand what he wants for a particular election. It's already a problem to vote 3 at the same day.
Are we equating literacy and intelligence as one and the same? Because a host of people would tell you that people might not be literate doesn't mean that they are not intelligent.
Yes, I agree with you. I have observed the election both in Ghana and in other West African countries, as well as in Nigeria. I am an international observer. In all those areas, whether you are intelligent or not, sometimes an elderly person may want to, please come and show me who I'm going to vote for. Not that she doesn't know, or he doesn't know who to vote for. But ordinarily, during the voter education period before the elections, the political parties and the civil society organizations are usually saddled with the responsibility of educating the masses. We found out over time that when you try to educate the masses, especially if there is going to be 3 elections, that is 3 voting patterns, as you have maybe the presidency, the Senate, and the House of Representatives, you see that when you're educating them, the intelligence or the education may not necessarily, even people that are educated, I mean people that have attended the level of senior secondary school certificate, they may still get confused, in terms of parties.
No, but even as it is now, where we have elections done in 2 days, yes, people still get confused. You have void ballot papers.
Oh, yes.
So
and then you now imagine that there will be more confusion when you have 5.
No, if as you say,
Yes.
the responsibility of voter education is taken very seriously,
Yes.
both by the commission and the political parties, and people are more aware of what they need to do because their awareness is growing by the day.
Yes.
So if that happens, wouldn't it reduce the chances of all of those confusion, as it were?
Now, I think it will, but we have to do that one first.
So, I mean, it's definitely not right then to completely rule it out, in the sense that we haven't even stepped up voter education and see what has become of it, what progress we've recorded in that area. And, you know, rather than just saying that we're ruling it out completely. Because if you also look at the arguments for conducting the elections in one day, the fact that we're going to save time or save money, we most likely will record an impressive turnout in all the elections, because what you usually have is that people will come out for certain, especially when it has to do with the executive arm of government, people turn out for those, but hardly turn out for, let's say, voting for members of the National Assembly and State House of Assembly. How do we begin to balance that? Do you think that the advantages that we can marry from here and see how we can bring it in, don't you think that the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages of conducting all the elections in one day?
Yes, when you see, even in most developed countries, the legislative election and that of the executive body are not conducted even in the same year. Some of them give 2 years. So it still means that almost no country conducts all elections in one day, except those that have maybe bicameral, that is, those that operates parliamentary system. These are the people. So you see that before you see a country that conducts 5 elections in one day, because most countries don't have 5 people to conduct elections for. So now Nigeria, with the level of literacy and with the preparedness of both the civil society and INEC to now jump into conducting all the elections in one day, you see that the will of the people may not necessarily be reflected. And when you look at the number of void votes that we have, when we conduct just 2 or 3 elections, you will see that it's still a greater problem.
The former Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom was speaking in Nigeria, and he gave an example. He said, if you want an example of a perfect or a good election, look at India, not the United Kingdom. But to see what he said, that India has a population of about 1 billion or thereabout people. They conduct the elections in 9 days or thereabout. And if you break that down, they're just about over 60 million or so coming out for elections every day. The voting population in Nigeria is around that 60 million. So why can't we have elections in one day?
No, I have listed why we can't have elections.
No. Well, I'm looking at the population now.
Yes.
They do the same thing in India.
Yes.
Yeah, that's supposed to be an example for us.
Yes.
So is it not possible that this can be taken care of?
It's possible. It's possible. I am not completely ruling it out. But I am even propagating that we should have elections that is maybe election for executive bodies 2 years, and then the one for legislative bodies another 2 years. It will help us to stop the bandwagon effect. That is one. When somebody becomes, so that Nigerians will now have an opportunity of saying, oh, the party that is controlling the executive should not control the legislature. Look at what is happening today in the House of Reps. Because another party is, gathering majority, most of the things they are looking at today, they were not looking at it last year, last 2 years, last 3 years, last 4 years. In America today, the Americans will try, once a Democrat is the president, they will try to balance it in the House. At least one of the houses, they will, whether they are planning it or but they will try to make sure the other party controls one of the houses, so that there will be checks and balances. We are now about, we've gone 8 years, we've gone into 12 years, into 16th year of our democracy. And what do we see? This seems to be the only time. Most of the things you see they are raising up today, whether it's in the aviation ministry, whether it's in the petroleum ministry, these things have been there in the last 12 years. But nobody has ever picked it up.
But in your own assessment, I mean, you have observed elections in different parts of Africa, let's say that, and you've seen differences between how elections are done in other parts and how they're done here in Nigeria, what would you say is a fundamental difference between these countries?
The fundamental difference between these countries is, one, the electoral body is a major problem. Confidence in the electoral body. And when I say confidence in the electoral body, yes, we can say that we are trying to move forward under Jega. But when you look at the state electoral bodies, they are the worst thing you can ever think of.
Are you saying that in other countries people have more confidence in their electoral bodies than they do in Nigeria?
Oh, sure, certainly. I'll give you an example. In Ghana, if you speak to an average Ghanaian and say, what do you think? The average Ghanaian will tell you, oh, the electoral body is very good and they know who is going to win elections just simply by knowing what the people are thinking about. And they can tell you the election will not be rigged. Whether it's the incumbent that is there or whether the incumbent is popular or not, that is, the election will reflect the will of the people because of the confidence they had in the Electoral Commission.